Cholesterol is an incredibly important biomolecule. It helps regulate membrane fluidity and serves as the precursor to steroid hormones and vitamin D. But too much of a good thing can become a bad thing. While we absolutely need cholesterol, overdoing it can gunk up vital arteries. And speaking of overdoing it, we are here at Sketchy Land's world famous kernel funnel cakes to cover cholesterol metabolism, and more specifically, how cholesterol is made in the body. But before we get into cholesterol biosynthesis, you should know how cholesterol moves around. Cholesterol is carried in the blood by lipid transporters called lipoproteins, specifically low density lipoproteins, also known as LDL, and high density lipoproteins, or HDL, which you can remember with our recurring low density boat, which can float higher, and high density submarine, which can sink deeper. Now, while some cholesterol is obtained through the diet, most of it is synthesized de novo in the liver and intestines. And that's what this video is all about. We're not going to cover the whole pathway, but we are going to cover some of the highlights. So here goes nothing. Cholesterol biosynthesis requires acetyl CoA and energy input in the form of ATP. Much like how this cholesterol-y funnel cake fryer requires a 3P battery pack, and you're not really going to eat one of these things without an acetyl CoA to wash it down, are you? Acetyl CoA is produced in the mitochondria during various oxidation reactions, but cholesterol biosynthesis occurs in the cytosol and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Since the mitochondrial membrane is relatively impermeable to acetyl CoA, it's converted to citrate and transported across via the citrate shuttle. Represented here by the acetyl CoA bottle on the mitochondrial mat, sitting right there in the matrix, and the citratey orange juice spilled on both sides. And that second bottle of acetyl CoA? That's there to remind you that citrate is converted back to acetyl CoA in the cytoplasm, where the beginning of the cholesterol synthesis pathway takes place. Then, acetyl CoA is converted to HMG CoA, and HMG CoA is converted to mevalonic acid by HMG CoA reductase. Now, here's a question. Would you rather have a measly bottle of acetyl cola or this here humongous thirst wrecker of a cola? Good choice. And something's telling me you'd like to drink it out of a medieval mug. You know, for mevalonic acid. Heck, the cola coming out of that funnel even looks acidic. Oh, and did you notice how smooth and endoplasmic reticulum-y these candy tubes are? That's because HMG CoA reductase is active in the membrane of the smooth ER, which you might remember is the site of lipid synthesis. In the case of the liver, that lipid is our main squeeze for the day: cholesterol. The conversion of HMG CoA to mevalonic acid is the rate limiting step of the cholesterol synthesis pathway. So, this HMG CoA reductase worker is wearing our recurring rate limiting stopwatch, checking the time because he's always behind. So, ATP, acetyl CoA, HMG CoA, mevalonic acid, and HMG CoA reductase are the main players of this pathway so far. But there's one more important one we gotta add in: NADPH. NADPH is an activated carrier, and it's utilized during cholesterol biosynthesis because it's needed to supply reducing equivalents. And nothing fuels funnel cake making quite like NADPH petrol. It's the third ingredient after sugar and love. Aw. The end result of all this? Bright, shiny, new, helpful cholesterol. Ready to embed itself into a membrane or turn into vitamin D? Or if you have way too much of it, clog up all your arteries. And speaking of excess cholesterol obstructing the old blood pipes, high concentrations of it provide negative feedback on HMG CoA reductase. I mean, it's gonna be pretty difficult to keep making funnel cakes with all that gunked up batter around. In contrast, insulin stimulates HMG CoA reductase activity. Our recurring symbol for insulin is the word inside, because insulin brings glucose inside cells. And these instructions to put the batter inside the fryer would definitely stimulate the making of those sweet, sweet cakes. Sketchyland really shouldn't be leaving its secret recipes out like that. All right, well, that's about all the funnel cake I can handle. Let's summarize this whole cholesterol making situation and get out of here, shall we? Cholesterol is carried in the blood by low density and high density lipoproteins. While some cholesterol comes from the diet, most is synthesized de novo, which occurs in the liver and GI tract. Cholesterol biosynthesis requires acetyl CoA and energy input in the form of ATP. Since the mitochondrial membrane is pretty impermeable to acetyl-CoA, it's converted to citrate and transported out via the citrate shuttle. Citrate is then converted back into acetyl-CoA in the cytoplasm where the cholesterol biosynthesis pathway begins. Acetyl-CoA is converted to HMG-CoA, and HMG-CoA is converted to mevalonic acid by HMG-CoA reductase. HMG-CoA reductase is the rate-determining enzyme that does its thing in the membrane of the smooth ER. NADPH is utilized multiple times during cholesterol biosynthesis. It's needed to provide reducing equivalents. A buildup of cholesterol provides negative feedback on HMG-CoA reductase, inhibiting the pathway. Conversely, insulin activates HMG-CoA reductase, promoting cholesterol biosynthesis. Well, that does it for cholesterol metabolism. And as the Colonel always says, eat to your heart attack's content. Wait, really? That can't be what it says. Well, we are just asking for a lawsuit.